Good afternoon. I wanted to take the time to take you through the contents of the Rover 800 series launch pack. Now, these would have been sent out to journalists back in 1986. As you can see here, we've got a July the 10th sticker on there, sort of suggesting that this was actually launched on July the 10th, or the car was, which it was. If we go inside to the pack, and there will be further videos coming out which actually sort of have me reading some of these details. We've actually got a number of tabs. So we have cover story, model range, products in detail, joint venture, which talks about the joint venture with Honda. Looks like that's got some old residue on it, probably from the 1980s. Very likely someone's steak dinner or something. Look lovely. Manufacturing. I've also got marketing, and then we've got notes section at the back. So this would have come with a covering letter, which is there, but it's rather nice fold open cutaway of a Mark I Sterling, early 2.5 model. Nice little cutaway there, which is very pleasant. The letter itself on Austin Rover headed note paper, sent out on the 19th of July 1986. Got the contact details, including, takes me back, a telex number. It looks like we've actually got a lot of the journalists' own personal notes on there. So what we've actually got is he's used this sort of generally for note purposes. He had to do something with a Honda CRX. The bit I like is he had to do a Renault GTA article, 800 words ASAP, and I'll be coming on to that in a bit because I've got something quite interesting relating to that, which may actually sort of point to who actually had this particular press pack. There's more sort of notes here which the person has put down. He's sort of noted down that the 4-cylinder auto is going to be a ZF box, the 6-cylinder auto is going to be a Honda box. Also he's mentioned that we've got 4-wheel disc brakes, we've got 15-inch wheels on the V6, 14-inch on the 4-cylinder models. I think that is a CD rating, so it's 0.32 CD, which at the time was very, very good. This is basically more of the product opening section, which I'll be going through in a later video. If we skip down to the model range, he's underlined a few points, which it does show that the journalist who had this pack made full use of it and was actually sort of very interested in what they had to say. This bit I like, the options availability. If you look at the Sterling, the options were an anti-theft device. And I thought cruise control was an option on the original Sterling as well, but doesn't seem to mention cruise control, which is interesting, so I thought cruise control was an option on the Sterling. I thought the only option. Got all of this detail about the product itself. As you can see, it was embargoed until 1800 hours, July the 10th, 1986. So if we go through to the joint venture, the section I was on, sorry, that section was what was that section actually? Oh, product and detail. We've got the manufacturing section, which talks about the manufacturing process. Got a marketing section and notes. Now he's actually kept this notes section very clear. It looks like he's sort of put notes onto other items. So if we look in the back here, what I like is I've actually got on looks like the notepaper from the hotel he stayed at. There is, on the back here, a section. This is basically a section where he was talking about Musgrove's speech. So it's the importance of company and United Kingdom emotional blackmail. Oh. Speech, something. Oh, blimey! It's less than less than complimentary comments there about Harold Musgrove's speech. If anybody can read that, something. Let the buggers, something or other. Yeah. If anybody can interpret that, I'd love to know what he actually said there. He didn't seem too happy about Musgrove's speech, which I recorded in another video. More sections, more notes here, which interestingly is actually stapled together, which is quite nice. So, oh yeah, that 6500. I'm assuming that's talking about the red line of the engine. Oh, hang on a minute. No, these are actually his notes about the driving experience. So this is when he took the car for a drive. So let's have a look. Sterling. M16 loaded, unleaded fuel, zone concept product, new approved, super something. Oh yeah, 70 to 90, nice. So then talks about trim. Plus points, gear change ride, well sealed, aero body with good ventilation. Back seat space. Good seats in the front. Lots of gadgets. Brakes, good pedal progression. So he liked the gear change, the ride, the well sealed body. So it was quiet, basically. The aerodynamics. I'd love to see his bad points. There you go. Vague handling feel compared to the Renault 25 and the Germans. Steering and grip. Some tacky trim and mixed styles. Low steering feel in the wet and downhill. Positively light. Too low geared. Engine resonance at 3500 RPM, fades at 4000, and the noise over 5000. So this is points versus the Audi 100, Granada, BMW 5 Series. What else does he say? So AC, buttons everywhere, criticise the buttons. 70 to 90, slow for a 2 litre, so quiet. Yeah, oh. I'm guessing this relates to the 2.5. Quiet, but no torque, but smooth. Very interesting. That's a criticism that was levelled against the 2.5 by a lot of journalists. What have we got here? Looks like we've got torque, more. The slightly slightly something the 325i, so it's comparing it against the BMW 325i, which would have been E30 back then. 23.3 mpg. Very quiet till over 35 to 60 to 90. 825. Water in boot. Okay, that's not a good sign. So they're already noticing build quality issues even back then. So that's actually quite interesting. I've seen this in the pack before, but I've never actually really gone into detail with it Sadly, it looks like a lot of these are missing, so we've actually got some projector slides. There would have been more, but it looks like they've unfortunately gone missing. This is the speech by Harold Musgrove. This was the one that I went through yesterday. This is an itinerary of events. So go to that hotel, which I've got the notepaper for. Day 1, arrive at the hotel. Presentation in the Grammont suite. Driving, question and answer in the Grammont suite. Pre-dinner drinks in the La Rotonde room. Dinner in the La Rotonde room. Right, day 2. Blimey, that's an early start. So you're not going to be able to do much on that evening. Early start there. 8:30 to 9:30 you've got some driving. Coffee stop in Gruyere. Can't pronounce that. Further driving. Pre-lunch drinks in the Rotonde room. Buffet lunch in the Rotonde room. Depart hotel by coach to Geneva Airport. I've probably read all of those completely incorrectly, but hey. Also get a price list as well, which is nice. Takes you back to the prices that you would have charged back then. What else do we have? This is rather nice. You get a nice poster of a silver leaf sterling, which is a rather nice little touch. And then we get these presentation slides, so that's the engine. And then we get a load of high quality photographs of the various models. That one looks like an 820i/E. And yeah, it was an 820i, and that was embargoed until 1800 hours on the 10th of July. What else is in there? More photos, just lots and lots of photos actually. Seems to have lots of the whole range there, well, nearly the whole range. The single point models weren't actually available until later. 1986, I think it was around December if I remember rightly. That's an SI, yep, a 20 SI. Got the interior, that looks like a 820 interior. Yep, that's the E820i. Actually, that's interesting, it references the E, but the single point fuel injection models weren't available until later. This one's a nice one. That looks like it's either going to be an 825i or a sterling. Yep, that's a sterling. You can tell by the headlight washers. And the stance is ever so slightly different to an 820 in my view. That's an SI. Yep. Yep, that one's a nice, particularly nice shot. That is a sterling. Yep. And the 820e/I again with those fantastic wheel trims. Very hard to get hold of now. There's a rear 3/4 shot. It's rather nice. This one's a nice one. That shows, funny enough, this is actually a process. I think this was at Myra. And this is a process that Jaguar also used during development of the XJ40. So what they would do is they would basically put an entire car onto these hydraulic rams, and it would effectively simulate a road surface by computer. So it would be a computer simulation of a road surface, and it would actually allow you to test the car, ride quality, etc., and sort of wear and tear without actually having to take it outside of the test facility. I'm not actually sure if this was at Myra, but judging by these Austin Rover logos on the side of the kit there. But Jaguar did use a very similar, almost identical system when testing the XJ40 to destruction. So that is basically the press kit. Now, the interesting item do seem to have is this copy of Car from August 1986. Now, the thing that interested me was there seems to be somewhere in here on page 116 this section about the Renault GTA. So this is actually a GTA Turbo, which I've got to admit is just a gorgeous looking thing. Not sure if this is 800 words, but if you remember back to the notes that I was looking at earlier, we go back to the covering letter, which would be here. So, impressions Renault GTA, 800 words ASAP. And, well, this is an article on the Renault GTA in a copy of Car magazine from around the time of the actual launch of the 800. So, yeah, that is quite interesting. 800 wise, what do we have? Let's have a look. So we got page 100 to 104, so let's have a look at there we are, we've got a road test here. So we've got the always excellent 124 series, the desirable at the time, and I've got to admit still desirable now to a certain extent, Mark III Granada. Not as good as a Mark II in my view, but that's just my personal opinion. The oddball Audi 100, which would have been an odd choice at the time. And that's generally what it was pitted up against. So what was the verdict? So if Honda saw the quality of pre-production 800s that Austin Rover entrusted to journalists at the car's press launches in Switzerland and Northumberland, it will be even more concerned. A host of minor problems plagued the cars on the continent, which, if we go back to his notes, there was water in the boot, the 2.5, which was a bit worrying. And in Northumberland, our test Sterling developed the following faults in a 250-mile drive: worsening dash rattle, displaced dash trim panel under the steering wheel, and an electrical fault which switched on every interior light in the car. In the end, the latter problem cured itself. Most worrying of all, though, was the standard of finish in the 800s. The door fit in particular was appalling. All this despite a never-ending barrage of press material from Austin Rover extolling measures the company has taken to ensure good quality of the 800. Chairman Harold Musgrove, if we refer back to the speech, was quick to point out after complaints had been made by the assembled scribers that the quality of finish on those particular cars was unrepresentative. He was probably right. Pre-production cars are never as good as the real things. However, I can think of no other company, particularly one whose quality control is being so closely scrutinised, that would have presented cars in such poor condition to the world press. Even more worrying for Austin Rover is that a production car we inspected after driving the pre-production machine was still nowhere near good enough. The door fit was poor and the chrome strips on the doors did not align. The poor assembly quality of the pre-production models did not manifest itself only in terms of finish. The wind noise issue from a number of 800s was appalling. Not surprising really in view of those gaps around the doors and the quality of the British-built 2-litre engines. Was very uneven. Some we drove were competent, others were extremely coarse. Austin Rover reckoned the engines should have all been representative. Honda V6s were all predictably of uniform quality. They were all just as gutless in the mid-range as each other. The quality of the 800 is something ARG may rectify after a few months, before British assembly of Legend starts. Can you imagine how Honda would react to poor assembly? Before US sales begin. But the fact that UK sales already underway as you read this, and the Rover 800 is palpably still not right, is something of which Austin Rover should be ashamed. So often in the past, the company has promised great things but has failed to deliver. No Austin Rover car has ever promised more than the 800. Sadly, the quality control, from what we can gather at this early juncture, seems to be a repetition of the same depressingly familiar and pathetic old story. But even ignoring quality control, the Rover 800 is a disappointment. It does have its worthwhile features, notably nimbleness and an attractive cabin, but it's not the winner Austin Rover wants or needs. Which is a shame, really. This was quite a damning sort of piece on the 800 series, but the thing is, in retrospect, it was quite right. Those early examples were not up to scratch, and it took a good couple of years to actually get it sorted out. So, oh, that's nice. Nice advert for the CRRS Cosworth. But it did sort of take time to get it right. So, yeah, I can't blame this sort of particular journalist having those particular views, because he was basically saying, in retrospect, what we were all thinking. At launch, it wasn't good enough. And unfortunately, that seemed to sort of show when it came to the quality of those early examples. So it really was, to quote Sniff Petrol, engineering in an unfinished form. However, the early ones are fantastic for their sort of general quirkiness. And yeah, they really are nice examples to own. I wouldn't have anything other than a Mark I, simply because of the potential issues, but also because they're just very interesting cars. Problems and warts and all. Oh, Capri, look at that. Right. Anyway, I could dwell on this Capri advert all day, but that is an introduction to the press pack, and there'll be more at some point in the near future. So thank you all very much for watching.